Traditionally, Americans value individual freedom above everything else. I understand the feds have to regulate Wall Street criminals and predatory corporations.
Fox News always makes a lot of hay about their quote-unquote fair and balanced debates. So here's an O'Reilly clip I don't think they had in mind. Now sure, Bill's a pundit, but he claims to be quote-unquote no spin. Plus he's made similar boasts himself. Let's see if you can tell the subtle differences between the way a conservative and a liberal are treated by Bill on the same show just minutes apart.
Now for the top story tonight, reaction, joining us from San Juan, Puerto Rico, Dick Morris, author of the upcoming book, 2010, Take Back America, which will be out next week. All right, so what do you think is the next target of the Obama administration? They can go a lot of places. Where will they go?
The financial industry bill. There's a bill that has passed the House that is pending in the Senate. It's been redesigned by Chris Dodd, that gives the Secretary of the Treasury the power to take over any financial institution he wants if he believes it's too big to fail and that it's in danger of being insolvent. And when he takes it over, he can fire the management, fire the board, sell off the assets, and wipe out the equity value. I think that will be Obama's next step.
How seriously do you take the states that are challenging Obamacare as being unconstitutional?
Oh, I think they've got a great case. The only real reason that taxes are higher in the North than in the South, the overwhelming reason, is that the South has a much more restrictive Medicaid program.
Okay, I cut it way short, but that's how the entire interview goes. Softball conservative Dick Morris questions, enabling him to criticize President Obama, mildly steer him to keep the red meat flowing to Fox News' conservative audience.
Continuing now with our lead story, the Obama administration trying to expand federal power. Joining us from Washington, New York Congressman Anthony Weiner. So you read my talking points, Congressman. Where am I going wrong?
Well, you have a couple of factual things wrong. First of all, there's nothing in the bill that has any health records being revealed to the federal government. There's nothing that has the IRS finding out your health insurance status except whether you have insurance or not, and that is whether you're going to claim it in order to be able to get your deductions.
All right,
Look,
let me challenge. Number one, on the health records, if you read the Wall Street Journal today, there's a big article that in order for the federal government to make decisions on who gets what, you're going to have a review panel of some kind to look at people's status. So I'm not sure you're correct about that.
Here's the mistake you're making. Here's the mistake. And they are going to aggregate, like they do now, things that are going on in the healthcare economy. But they won't know a single thing about Bill O'Reilly's healthcare or Anthony Weiner's healthcare. They will be going to hospitals to say, how many gallbladders are you taking out? How much did it cost you? What procedures were more efficient, less efficient? What kind of rates did you have? That's not to say that people are going to lose control over their health records is deceptive. It really is.
Well,
but the point that you're fundamentally making here,
wait. If there is a controversy about a procedure and an American, that decision is out of the American's hands, out of the doctor's hands. It's in the federal government.
No, you're misunderstanding. You're misunderstanding. Right now, for the last 50 years, tomorrow, we're always going to be, since we're big providers of health care, we in the federal government, but to taxpayers with taxpayer dollars, we're always looking at what things work well and what things don't. No different than if the New England Journal of Medicine compiled the records of 10,000 people who had appendicitis and tried to figure out what results work best. We do that all the time. There's nothing in this bill that does what you said, though. And let's be clear, because there's been an enormous amount.
I just want to point out that's not what the other side is saying. We'll see how it pans out.
There is an enormous, but I'm going to tell you something, Bill. There is an enormous amount that opponents of healthcare are saying that are just lies. And I'll say that again, that are just lies.
We'll see how it pans out.
And we have to be careful, but we have to be careful not to have false debates.
All right, now the IRS is now going to have to enforce Obamacare. So if you say, flip it, I ain't buying it, then the IRS is the one that is going to make the determination whether you get fined or what happens to you. So again, the IRS is going to have access to information.
That is not true. Here's what's going to happen. If you want to, I'm going to explain how the bill works. Right now, under this law as passed the other day, if you want to get the tax credit to buy insurance, you're going to have to say on your tax form whether or not you are already getting it. We're not going to give the tax benefit to someone owning a home who doesn't actually own a home. So you've got to report your address.
But if you don't want to buy health insurance, the IRS has to see to it that you do. That's what universal health care is about.
You're making
Then
another mistake.
who-
That's incorrect
who does
because
that?
you can.
Who does
You
that?
are not required to get insurance under the law. You can choose to pay into the pool that pays for your insurance should you go into a hospital
What if you
emergency
choose not to
room.
do anything? Then who?
Then you are going to have to pay up to and not exceeding 1%
Okay, you're
of your
going to
income.
have to, and you say, no, I'm not, then who
Bill,
comes after you?
Bill, I'm going to have to try to squeeze in an answer here. It is no different than if you say you get a tax deduction when you buy a home, you've got to prove you've got a home. You are going to have to pay for health insurance because everyone is getting it under the new plan. When you go into a hospital emergency room and someone provides you care and you can't pay, you and I pay for it. This fund
Congressman,
would
you're
make that up.
dodging the question. If
I'm answering
someone
the question.
is
You're making stuff up.
defiant,
that's not true.
Who
I don't know
deals
how
with
else
them?
to say this. It's the same exact process. It says specifically in the bill we're not criminalizing anyone for failure to
They get
pay this
fined.
fee. But here, Bill, here's what we're going to have to try to figure out here. If we're going to communicate this, you're going to have to let me speak. Just in the world.
Yeah, what about the other
97
12%? The IRS gets them if they don't pay the taxes. Ask Wesley Snipes. You can't tell me the IRS isn't the enforcement arm here. It is. Congressman, which one?
Watch this, Bill. Bill, watch this. We are not criminalizing people who fail to comply. Do you understand?
They
that?
have to pay a fine.
Do you understand? That's exactly right. But
Who
we're not criminalizing
determines
them
the
for
fine?
failure. It's in the law.
All right, Congressman.
I got to tell you something. This is the problem with this debate.
If somebody
When you
refuses
say-
to cooperate,
when you say
who finds
something-
them
when
and you
you say-
can't tell me? I know I'm not a
You've
smart
gotta
man,
stop.
and
Bill, I love you, buddy. You've got to stop making up stuff about the
I'm
bill.
trying not to
You've
make
got
it
to
up,
stop.
but I still
Come
don't
on, my
know
man.
who levies the fine, and we'll try to find out tomorrow.
Well, next time you'll let me answer
All
the
right.
question. We'll get to that.
Next time. I asked it 5 times, Congressman, but we appreciate you coming on. Directly ahead, Ann Coulter. So what is the truth of the matter? I hope
It doesn't end there. The next day, Bill pulled a standard trick of continuing his so-called debates in his talking points memo without the benefit of a liberal to contradict him. He declares victory by singling out a topic he thought he was victorious on.
insurance, the IRS can fine you. That is, take part of your tax refund up to 2.5% come 2016. For some people, that's huge. Number 2, the IRS will have control over who does and does not purchase health insurance. We hear that you will have to tell the agency your insurance status on your tax returns. Number 3, the feds can punish you in other ways if you don't get a tax refund. If you're receiving any other federal benefits, they could take them away from you after checking first with the, ready, Congressman Weiner, IRS. So you can see that the Internal Revenue Service will greatly expand its power under Obamacare. So I believe I was correct in my assessment, and Mr. Weiner was a bit confused. As always, we're ready to receive facts to the contrary.
Bill gloats, but despite having the advantage of research, the 2.5% in the reconciliation bill is capped by the quote-unquote applicable national average premium, which, by the way, is not determined by the IRS, which is to say they're just recouping premium dollars. In the original debate and this one, Bill keeps calling this a quote-unquote fine, which it isn't. It's just the IRS trying to recoup premium dollars. As the IRS being the heavy enforcement arm, there's a lot of IRS involvement with institutions which may in fact require 16,000 agents. But regarding individuals, the IRS's only role is collecting whether or not you have health insurance on your tax return, verifying this, and sending letters to those who don't.